تكونوا شامة بين الورى فاختفوا آثار جيل للمعالي سطرا إن أردتم أن تكونوا شامة بين الورى فاختفوا آثار جيل للمعالي سطرا جيل زيد وحسين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وأسوتنا وقائدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه أجمعين وعلى كل من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. سبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وبعد. All praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we show gratitude for granting us today the ability to be here. I also thank the ISOC here, the organizers and all of you for coming, for inviting me. I actually came here I think just last year or the year before, I can't remember, but it was a different lecture theatre. So it's good to come, alhamdulillah, to Sheffield. I think that's the only time I come to Sheffield, when it's like a university. There's nothing else to come for. When I was a kid, when I was young, the way we used to identify Sheffield was with those big, massive things on M1. We've taken them out now. What were they called? Some tower. What towers?
They were cooling towers.
Cooling towers. So all my life, when we used to go up north, we always used to go past those two massive towers, smoke coming out of them, and that's it, Sheffield. Every time we see those towers, we think of Sheffield. And then later on, it's that green dome that we see, which some people mistake for the Masjid of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is a massive difference between that and what's the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Which green dome here?
Which green dome? I'm sure people have understood. The meadow hall green dome. But anyway, I think that's a good starting point, talking about that dome, if you can call it a dome. And this topic that we have today is life just a game. When I realized that this was a title, I spoke to the brother Muhammad Yusuf, I think last week, and I just realized there were two Yusufs in the car, and I was thinking that I was speaking to the same brother. But I asked him, because he told me the title, and the email came that the title is Life Just a Game. So I said, what do you want me to talk about? Because this is a question. Is life just a game? The answer is actually, it depends on how you look at this. And this is why I was confused slightly as to what aspect the organizers want me to talk about. If I ask somebody here the answer to this question, is life just a game? Anybody, put your hand up. One. Brother there at the back. I'm looking at you, don't turn your face. You. Yes, you. Is life just a game? How would you respond? I'm asking you. Yes. You wouldn't say it's a game. Correct. Anyone else with a different answer? The Quran tells us there's a verse in the Quran, the literal translation of that. Allah says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَعِبٌ وَلَهْوٌ. The worldly life is nothing but a game and amusement. This is, and there's numerous verses like that. This is in Surah Al-An'am. وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهْوٌ وَلَعِبٌ إِنَّمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ اعْلَمُوا اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب وله. Let it be known that this worldly life is fun, amusement and game. So, by looking at those verses, and that's what I thought first, that you want me to talk about, is this life a game? The Quranic verses, all these verses came to my mind that yes, there's numerous texts and verses in the Quran that tell us that life is a game. It's an amusement, it's a play, it's fun. But then he said to me, no, we're looking at it from another angle, which is life just a joke? Or should we take this precious life that Allah has blessed all of us with, time, which is a precious asset? Is it just joke fun? Do we just spend it like how we want to? And that is also true. So the answer to this question, is life just a game? It depends on how we look at this question. In relation to the akhirah, in relation to the next life, in comparison to the hereafter, life is nothing but a game. This is a trivial 60, 70 years that we spend. This is why Allah says in the Quran that the real life is وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. That the next life, the coming life, is the real life if only they knew. So, in relation to the next life, this life is a game. And I want to touch upon or cover both aspects. And that's why both topics I want to sort of cover, inshallah. So this life, in relation to, like we say, nisbatan, in relation to the next life, is nothing but a game. It's a trivial life that we have. And this is why it's a deception. Human beings can be deceived by this worldly, temporary life. And this is why Allah says in another place in the Quran that this world and this life is mata'ul ghurur. It's a means of deception. Humanity and human beings are in deception. We feel and we think that this is the eternal life and everything just revolves around this life. We think this is the only life. Even though we believe, some people don't believe in the next life. And even those who believe, and alhamdulillah most of us believe here, but even those who believe in the next life and believe in the life after death, we are so engrossed, and this is part of our nature, we are so engrossed in our worldly activities, and because this world is tangible, we are living it right now, it is very difficult to think about the next life. Dunya, the word in Arabic for this world is dunya. Dunya actually means near. One of the meanings of dunya is near. Another meaning is something that's not that important. It's degraded. But one of the main meanings of the word dunya in Arabic, which has been used in the Quran and many sacred texts to describe this world, is something that which is near. And the next life is known as akhirah. Akhirah means next. The coming one, later one. We as human beings, our nature is such that that which is right in front of us right now, we take that to be everything. And we do that even in our life, this life itself. We do that in the life itself as well. We deal with the present as though this present is the only important thing for us. This is why in one hadith the Messenger ﷺ he said, اعمل لدنياك بقدر بقائك فيها وعمل لآخرتك بقدر بقائك فيها. Live and do and work for this world as long as you're going to live in this world, and work for your next life as long as you're going to live in the next life. Next life is eternal. It is the belief of the believers that the next life is eternal, and in comparison to this life is 60, 70 years maximum, or 80. 60, 70 years in comparison to an eternal life. So this point, first of all, we need to really focus on. That there are many verses in the Quran, and I mentioned some, but I'll just mention them again just properly. There are many verses in the Quran that describe this dunya, this world, this worldly, earthly life to be nothing but just an amusement, a play, it's a joke, in comparison to the next life. The verse in Surah Al-An'am, Allah says, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَعِبٌ وَلَهُ. I translated that. Literal translation, this worldly life is nothing but la'ib. La'ib means a game. Mula'aba. La'ib. Mula'ib is a player. Right? So, la'ib, it's nothing but a game. وَلَهُ, and it's amusement. وَلَدَارُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. And the next coming life is better. It's a better life, and it's more important for those who fear God, those who fear Allah. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Allah says, don't you think, don't you reflect, don't you ponder over this fact, that this is a very short life? There's another verse in Surah Al-Ankabut where Allah says, إِنَّمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا لَعِبٌ وَلَهُ وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهُ وَلَعِبٌ وَإِنَّ دَارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانُ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. I've already mentioned that verse, that the real life is the next life, if only they knew. There's another verse in Surah Al-Jumu'ah where Allah says, قُلْ مَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ مِّنَ اللَّهْوِ وَمِنَ التِّجَارَةِ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. Say, O Messenger, say to the people, that which is by Allah in the next life, whatever is going to be given in the next life, paradise and the bliss and the pleasures and the bounties and the gifts and the rewards given by God in the next life, that is much better than the amusement and the play and the joke of this life, and the business and the transactions and the money making and the gathering of wealth of this life. The next life is much better. And finally, this verse is very important. SubhanAllah, this is such an important verse in Surah Al-Hadid. You know Surah Al-Hadid? Hadid means the iron. Surah Al-Hadid is a very famous surah. In it, there is a very important verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, اِعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا لَعِبٌ وَلَهْوٌ وَزِينَةٌ وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. And then Allah gives an example. كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَكُونُ حُطَامًا. What does Allah say? اِعْلَمُوا. Know, recognize. He's talking to me and you, talking to all of us. Recognize and know. أَنَّمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا لَعِبٌ وَلَهْوٌ. Same message. There are numerous. I've just quoted like 4 verses. These are just 4 verses. There's quite a few, many other verses giving the same message. But the same sort of, message. No, this hayat, this life is la'ibun, it's game, and it's amusement. And then Allah mentioned some other things. He said it's a game, it's a play, it's an amusement, wazinatun, and it's a means of people just adorning themselves, and وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ, and this life is about just being boasting amongst one another with your worldly possessions. وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ, and it's about, this life is about competition in wealth and in children. So Allah said it's a la'ib, game, amusement, adornment, boasting, and competition. And then Allah gives an example. كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُهُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا. That it's like a rain. This life is like a rain, where the rain grows, the agricultural produce is produced, and this attracts the farmers. They become very happy. When the rain falls, they become very happy because they're seeing a lot of produce. The farmers become happy, but then it starts withering. And then Allah says, ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا, and then you see it turning yellow. فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَكُونُ حُطَامًا, and then it just becomes like a straw. This is what this life is about. It looks good in the beginning, and when it ends, it's nothing. It's just like a straw. There's nothing there. Now this ayah is actually quite significant, something very important, and this I actually read about this just yesterday, but before that I actually thought about this in my own mind. I read this from another scholar, but I thought about this in my own mind, and I wrote about it somewhere a few months ago. But we should really sometimes reflect on, this is what this ayah is trying to tell us, and to reflect, but we should reflect upon this worldly life occasionally, not every day. Okay, dunya, we shouldn't be gloomy that, okay, yes, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Every person you meet, you're going to die, you might die anytime, you might just get out from there, you're going to die. It's not like that. But occasionally, every so often, we are duty bound. We should always keep our focus on the next life. What really matters is the next life. We'll live in this world, and I'm going to talk about that. But what this ayah is telling us, that reflect. It is important to occasionally reflect on the nature of the dunya, the nature of this life. This life is a combination of levels and stages. Every single one of us, right? Every single one of us, we go through certain stages of our life. Every single one. And the funny part is that at every stage we feel, subconsciously we think, that this is the most important part, this is the most important thing in the world or for anyone. Everyone else is not in the abnormal, they're not in the normal, default sort of situation. At every level. When you move from that level and you ascend to the next level, you think about your previous level as though it was childish. People laugh at their previous years. You know, when right now, you think about when you were 5 years and you did something, so, oh, I did that, it's crazy, you laugh at yourself. But what you're doing now, when you're the next 20 years, you're going to laugh at what you're doing today. This is the nature of this life. We all go through each stage, these stages. So this ayah is saying that, look, when you're a young child, dunya is about la'ib. There's a difference between la'ib and lahu. Allah used two words. Life is game and then amusement. The difference between la'ib and lahu is, la'ib is like that sort of a game or that sort of amusement which has no sort of, there's no benefit whatsoever, there's no like winning or losing, like a toy. So when a child is a toddler, when there's a child is a toddler, this is the first stage, okay? And at that stage, the whole world for that toddler, for that child, revolves around what? Toys, cars, small cars. You talk to him about dentistry, medicine, what's that? Probably some jinns do that. Right? So some supernatural beings living in space study at a university. What is a university? But that child, at that time, when that child is 4 years old, really thinks this is the this is the most important thing for anyone. I mean, these people are big people. They're like giants, supernatural, giants. I don't know. They're from some different species. My parents are different species. Child, everything. You snatch the toy away from the child. What happens? The child thinks he's lost every part of his possession. Everything's gone. The child thinks that's it. The whole world for that child, toddler, revolves around toys and those games that have no, even the games themselves are of like no, benefit, like winning or losing or anything. So this is the first stage, la'ib. Then Allah says lahu. The child grows up a bit, gets to a level of being a teenager. When a person reaches to that second stage of being a teenager, then what's important? Lah. La'ib has now turned into lahu. Lahu means games and amusement. Those now forms of entertainment that have some sort of benefit. Now the young teenager wants to play games on a computer, the latest gadget. iPhones. All the well, nowadays toddlers play with iPhones as well, apps. But this is the next stage, right? The latest technology. The child wants an iPad and wants to play all the games on the iPad, etc., etc., etc. And it's a stage where that teenager, you're growing up, you think that child, or that teenager really seriously thinks at that time that this is the most important stage. People in their 20s and 30s, some older people, they just think they're too, clever. Right? They don't understand, what we need to do. And young children, 4, 5-year-olds, they just think, these are kids, they call us crying. Right now it's about friends and it's about, social media, how many friends you have on Facebook. And nowadays, children, teenagers are on Twitter and I don't know where else they're at. So at that time, this is the stage. Okay? And at the stage of lahu, that child thinks about, that teenager, if you thinking about the previous stage, the first stage, what was that? The stage of being a toddler. If you give that 14-year-old teenager a small toy to play, what will that teenager say? Hey, give me this. What am I going to do with this? Doesn't want a toy anymore. Because that teenager has moved from la'ib to lahu, to the stage number 2. But this is significant to keep in mind, that at every stage, we think this is the most important stage, and all other stages, people at other stages of life, they're like, they're just not really important. Okay? And then we move on to And at that stage, you think about parents and they're too strict and they're backwards and they don't understand us. You know, when the parents say, don't waste your time on the iPhone, they don't really understand, you know, this is important. These are from back home, I don't know where the parents have come from. But when you grow, when you become a parent, you'll become the same like your parents were when you were young. So then we move on to the third stage, which is Allah has described with zina. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو. Then Allah says وزينة, adornment. Now the stage is of adornment, fashion, clothes, a nice car with alloy wheels, sports car, right? Because now you've passed your driving test. Now you're 19, 20. So now you want a nice car. It's all about showing off your car on, I don't know if you have those roads here, like in Manchester you have Windsor Road and you know, you have those roads. Yeah? You know Windsor Road, probably you guys go to Manchester. If you go on Windsor Road on Friday night, Saturday night, all these teenagers and blasting music and going fast. When we look at that, I mean, I've gone past that stage, you think about it, it's wasted, it's just, you just feel like it's just so childish. But maybe when I was, not maybe, I think I was, when I was 19, I probably did the same thing, but just a bit, you know, with the friends, driving in the car, it just feel good, you know, driving a nice car. But now when you think about it, you just think, you know, it's a bit childish. So that's zina, all the latest fashion. The sisters want to be size, I don't know, whatever size. And the latest fashion and the latest makeup and the latest this, and just to impress, and you just, when we were young, there was no zina. Clothes were dirty playing outside when you're 7, 8 years old. Who cares about how the clothes are, clean or dirty? But we're thinking about our game. When we are in the stage of zina, adornment, stage number 3, that even if we were to play a game, we would ensure that our clothes are clean, or we'll change and then we'll change back to our clothing. We'll make sure there's no, you know, crease in the clothing, etc., etc. And then we move on to another stage. The zina also moves on to another stage, stage number 4 of our life, which most of you are probably at right now, which is the stage or the level where you start thinking in your early 20s about careers, about degrees, about jobs, and then marriage. And you think that this is the most important thing in any human being's life. It's about, you know, career, about student fees, about jobs, it's about dentistry, about being a medic, about, you know, marriage. You think, when you look at the toddlers, well, they're just toddlers anyway, you look at the teenagers, we weren't like this when we were young. These people are so bad in this day and age. When we were young, we had some sort of moral ethics. You know, the world has changed. There were these kids, nowadays, astaghfirullah, you know, we weren't like that. And we look at the elders, conflict between parents and, you know, youngsters about marriage. They don't understand what kind of girl I want to get married to, and they don't really understand, you know, going back home. I'm not saying it's always right and wrong parenting, that's another topic, but it's just, hence the conflict between parents and children. Because parents are looking, their brain has moved on to another stage, and the youngster at the university, his stage is somewhere else. So there's a conflict in marriage issues, but it's all about degrees, etc. And then you get to another stage, which is stage number 5. You've already found your life partner, and you're already married, and now you've become a parent. When you become a parent, the most important role for any human being is to be a good parent. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters in the world. Especially when you have newly born children. The most important thing in life, the most difficult task, the most difficult job, the greatest responsibility on planet Earth is to be a good parent. That's it. Nothing else matters. Right? So that's another stage. And then we think as well, you know, that being parent is very important. You tell the children, look, when you have small children, you'll understand, and you start advising people who are younger than you. And then we carry on. We get to the middle age, which is stage number 6. When we get to the middle stage, where now we've got our careers, jobs, and young children growing up, you're in your mid-30s or whatever. Yeah? People sometimes don't marry till that age, but normally, generally, mid-30s, late 30s, 40-ish, around that time. Then you get to a level of where you think, that's it, I'm all powerful. You probably bought your first home as well now, right? I know it's very difficult these days to buy homes, but people kind of buy at that time. So you bought your home, you've got a few toddlers, small children. It's all about power. Probably that's the most powerful stage of the the stages of humanity. Because on one side you have elderly parents, they're weak and feeble, so you're looking after them. They depend on you. On the other hand, you have young children, they're weak and feeble and dependent. They depend upon you. So we feel very independent. Everyone depends on us. My children depend on me. My parents depend on me. I am the most powerful human being on planet Earth. This is where you start thinking about wealth, about properties, about investment, and that's it. You're just in a different sort of, complete different sort of stage where nothing else matters. Children, these are really bad. In our time, we were like this. Children are wasting time. Look at the state of the children and youngsters today. And the old ones, they're just going to die anyway. They're half, in their grave as it is. This is the most important stage, and this is Allah mentions this in the Quran. That Allah starts you with ضعف, and then you go to quwwah, then you go back to ضعف. خَلَقَكُم مِّن ضَعْفٍ مِّن بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ وَشَيْبَةٍ. Allah talks about this, that you start with weakness, and then you get power, and then after power you get back to weakness. You end where you started at. And that's why it's like going uphill, and then you go back downhill. It's like, those, if you've been to some of these parks, theme parks, what a log flume is? Yeah? It's like life is like a log flume. You go slowly, especially the first half seems very slow because you are moving rapidly, you are moving through different stages. So you slowly, you're getting up, and then you're in the center, mid-30s or whatever. And then the second half is very fast. It's like a dip, down, straight, end of life. So when you are 30, you are 30. When you are 31, you are 29. 28. 32 is 28. That's how you count. You're going back, because average nowadays is 60. It's very fast. Before we realize one stage to the next stage, and it's end of time. Seriously, we have to think, every one of us, myself included, we have to keep reflecting upon this. Because every one of us, when you see an old man out there, or an old woman walking there, maybe disabled, it's just sometimes subconsciously we think, they're different. They're not different. That's us, that's me, you, in just a few years' time. When they were my age and your age, exactly that's what they thought. They thought exactly the same. They also went to university. They also had a career. They also had all these aspirations. But now they're on crutches and they're disabled, they're in the home, whatever. It's just gone fast. You talk to them as well, and they realize how fast it's gone. So that's the middle age stage. And then it doesn't end there. Then it's stage number 7. That's stage number 7 and stage number 8. And actually there was one stage right at the beginning, but I'll mention that afterwards. Stage number 7 is when we become very old, in our 60s now, and feeble. Again, what do we think? We think we've got all the experience of the world. We are very experienced. Young people talk to us. Even if they make sense, they're very intelligent, we don't want to listen to them. We don't want to give importance to them. Because you guys, kids, youngsters, you don't know what dunya is. You haven't lived in this world. You must have heard some old people saying that. Don't worry. That's their right to say that, because we'll say the same to people younger than us. When I said to some of my friends, I said, before there was a time when I used to meet a lot of people, every time I used to meet people, friend circles, or like, for example, lectures. Yeah, I said lectures, because I travel a lot, and sometimes when we have lectures, programs, conferences, we have other speakers, other sheikhs and imams and scholars, whatever, especially in different parts, in different countries where you have conferences and when they invite like 19 people. So before, like just 6-7 years ago, every time I used to be there, I used to always find speakers, a lot of them, like most of them when I started first, most of them were older than me. And then it moved on to like people very close to my age, and now I'm just meeting lots of people who are like much younger than me. If there's a speaker list of 10 people, about 6 are younger than me. And that just makes me think that yes, I am getting old. These are small things that should remind us about our life. So, when we get really old, this is what Allah said, after zina wa tafakhur. This middle age was tafakhur. Tafakhurum baynakum. boasting with wealth. You're powerful. This is my degree, this is my career, this is my job, this is my firm, this is me. That's the fakhar, that's the middle age. Okay? And then what did Allah say after that? وَتَكَاثُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. And then there's competition in increase of wealth and children. Children, there was a time when people used to what? Have competition and boast in regards to the children, not anymore. Right? And now the boasting or the competition is about my child has this degree and my child has this position and my child has been given this status. So that's what the boasting is about. So in old age, when this is what we do, we boast, or towards the old age. And when we become very ill and weak, and then the most important thing for a really old person is what? My well-being. Nothing matters. When you talk to an old person, you talk to him about there's a massive earthquake which killed 400,000 people. I don't know if it kills that many people, but it killed in another country. But they say, oh my, this leg, it's so swollen, and I didn't eat last night, I didn't sleep. You tell him, oh, there was a massive, something happened, all these people, plane crash and someone died, all these people died. Oh yeah, and then talk about his foot. Okay? Because nothing matters for that old man. And that's us. Yeah? That's us in a few years' time, brothers and sisters. So, and kids become a nuisance. An old man or an old woman, kids are a nuisance. You get a headache very easily. Even the children are just playing or just talking. You don't want disturbance because you're at that stage. And like I said, at every stage we think that this is the most important stage. And when we look at the previous stage, we think, we laugh at ourselves and we think we were fools for giving so much importance to the previous stage. When we are at stage number 5, we think about stage number 4 and 3. Was that really me? Did I really do this? And that's all of us. And this is what Allah is saying in these few verses. And finally, when you leave this world, and that's the final stage. That's not mentioned in the verse. But when we leave this world, when the eyes close, and we go to the next life, akhirah, then the whole worldly life, stage 1 to stage 7 or 8, all the stages will seem like just foolishness and game and play. This is what Allah is saying. It's like a dream. It's like a dream. Sometimes we have a dream, and in the dream we're like, really happy. You wanted to marry your sister and you're married in the dream. And then you wake up in the morning. Oh, no, I'm not married, I'm still in bed with myself. Or you wanted this car, you're driving a, Lamborghini or something. And then you wake up and you go outside your house and you still got your Golf or whatever you've got. And likewise, if someone's swearing at you, slandering, or someone's scaring you, or there's an animal there just about to attack you in your dream, and what happens? You actually feel it. It's like real in the dream. And you wake up. Phew, that was just a dream. When we go in the next life, then we'll find out, we'll think, dunya was just a dream. It just, one stage to the next stage to the third stage, it just went so fast. And Allah says this in another verse in the Quran, كَأَنَّهُمْ يَوْمَ يَرَوْنَهَا لَمْ يَلْبَثُوا إِلَّا عَشِيَّةً أَوْ ضُحَاهَا. When human beings, when they will go in the next life, on the day when they will see Akhirah, يَوْمَ يَرَوْنَهَا لَمْ يَلْبَثُوا إِلَّا عَشِيَّةً أَوْ ضُحَاهَا. They will think to themselves, when they will see the next life, they will think that they never stayed in the world, dunya, except for a moment in the morning or a moment in the evening. عَشِيَّةً أَوْ ضُحَاهَا. It was just a moment. And I normally give an example on this. It's like, to understand this verse, an example. Picture this scenario. How long is the next life? Eternal. Eternal means what? It means eternal. Eternal means eternal. 600,000 years? More than that. So imagine the next life, in Jannah or in paradise, inshallah, where all of us will be, Imagine these two brothers down here, I'm going to pick on you two today. These two brothers here, he had a massive, nice mansion, castle in Jannah, and he had his mansion. And he came out of his mansion, and he came out and said, Assalamu alaikum brother, how are you? What's happening? How's everything? Okay. Come on, let's go and have some coffee and some shisha as well. Like I always say, in Jannah it will definitely be halal. But in this world, I don't know, I'm not going to answer it here. But anyway, in Jannah it's halal. I know that. Someone asks me, is shisha halal? I'll say, yeah. In Jannah it's halal. Wait till Jannah. So, in paradise, you come out from your castle and you go to this shisha cafe or whatever. And you start having your coffee and you start discussing and talking. And you start talking about it. You say, do you remember? And this happens, imagine after 600 million years. You've lived for 600 million years in Jannah, and after 600 million years, one day you popped out from your castle, you came out and you thought, and you start talking about dunya. Brother, do you remember? What? Do you know there was a place called dunya? When was that? Oh yeah, long, 600 million years ago. Do you remember, we used to, I think I remember vaguely, yeah, I remember. I think I was born, I was in a place called England. I remember, and Sheffield, yeah, something like Sheffield, yeah, Sheffield. University, I don't know, there was some, I don't know, I studied somewhere at Sheffield or somewhere, or something like that. And yeah, I think I got a degree, I think I became a doctor or something, I don't know, and then I got married, I had children, then I died, then I died. Yeah, that happened to me about 67 years. Imagine, compare 67 years to 600 million years and beyond. Compare it. This is what Allah is saying in this verse. When you go in the next life, this dunya is like not even a drop in an ocean. It's less than a drop. This dunya it's less than a drop in the greater scheme of things. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية وضحاها. So, anyway, brothers and sisters, this is what this worldly life is about. It's just a game, it's just stages, it's different levels that we just pass through rapidly at a very rapid and quick and fast pace. And before we know it, like the poet says, حياتك أنفاس تعد فكلما مضى منها نفس انتقصت به جزءا. Your life is a combination of a few breaths. Our lives are a combination of a few breaths. Every time we breathe, we take a breath, a portion of the life has passed and gone. We'll never come back again. This is what this life is about. So the real life, when we go in the next life, this life will seem like, as I said, a dream. But, going back to what I was saying, I am reminding you and myself, right? So we are reminding each other, we are being reminded. It's making us think, alhamdulillah, at least that's good. It's making, and I'm sure I can see that everybody is thinking about this, which is good, alhamdulillah, at least thank Allah that we're thinking about this. But we need constant reminders, because the reason, like I said, because due to the fact that dunya is close, akhirah is the next life, this is tangible, we are living it right now. Like in a dream, the dream was everything for us, but when you woke up in the morning, it's past. This dunya, right now, is everything for us. This is why the Messenger ﷺ in one hadith, he said, أَكْثِرُوا ذِكْرَ هَازِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ. Constantly, excessively remember the thing that breaks and cuts off all pleasurable things. The worst, we shouldn't use the word worst, the most scary or distasteful topic for people is death, even though it's inevitable. We don't even want to talk about it because we get scared thinking about it. It's something we need to, this is why the Messenger ﷺ mentioned this, that constantly remember death. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. And then Allah mentions something else which I will mention. So, this is, when we go in the next slide, this is what will happen. And before that, this point, that because the human mind is limited, this is our nature, this is the way we have been created, this is the way we are born, that something which we don't see, it's not tangible, we can't take it seriously enough. Right now, this room is the most important thing for us. Because this is how the human mind works. Because akhirah is not with us right now, our yaqeen and conviction sometimes becomes weak. If not, then at least our sort of dedication to it is not as it's supposed to be, because it's not with us. The example of that is similar to an unborn child. When a child is unborn in the stomach or in the womb of his mother, that child, after, like in the beginning, it's just like the Quran says, خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانِ, it says nutfa, it's a drop of sperm, etc., the different stages. But then, in the hadith, the Messenger ﷺ mentions after 3 stages, ثُمَّ يَبْعَثَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ مَلَكًا فَيَنْفُخُ فِيهِ الرُّوحِ. Life is, placed into, or blown into the fetus, and it becomes a living fetus in the stomach of the mother. That unborn child, for that unborn child, what is dunya? For that unborn child, this small room, or whatever that is, the womb is everything. If somebody was to tell that unborn child, you know what? There's a city called Sheffield. And there's a hospital, first of all. Or this is a room. After the room there is some more rooms, and there's some wards, and then there's a bigger hospital, and then there's some streets, and there's a town centre, then there's Sheffield, then there's a country, then there's a world, there's ocean, there's fishes, and all sorts of creatures, and then there's space, and there's Jupiter, and there's Mars, and there's Venus, etc. Impossible. The child will just not understand, because it's not tangible. Very difficult. For that child, the whole world, for the child's world is a mother's womb and stomach. That's the world. This is a massive world. Wow. It's so great, so huge. The latest technology is in this world. The latest technology is in this world. Amazingly, the child is nourishing. And Allah is nourishing the child in the stomach of the mother. When the child is born and comes out cryingly, came out involuntarily, we never chose to come out, but the child came out, Allah created that child, the child is born. When that child is in that room, now the whole world is what? As big as this room. Right? You tell a small 3-4 month old baby that there is another room as well, and there's there's a city, country. Impossible. It's just not possible for that child's brain to grasp this fact. Like, for example, someone lives in a village. One of my teachers once said that he went from one country to another country, and in another country there was a relative, and in a village really far away from the city area, he went to see one of his relatives, and there was an old lady that came to, she found out that he's come from this other country and from this city, so she came, so, oh, you come from this country, from this city. Oh, do you know my nephew? What's your nephew's name? He said, no, I don't know. How do you know him? You're from the same city. So this sheikh tried to explain to him, like, the city I come from is like a massive city, it's like London, for example, and there's thousands of people, not every person knows. But she just couldn't understand the fact, she just thought it was very rude. How is it not possible? Because she lived in a village where there was 20 families. Every family knew everything about the other family. So this sheikh trying to explain to her, this old lady, that it's not possible in my city because there's thousands of people, literally thousands. She just, till the end, she just wouldn't accept it. She just didn't get it. Because she has not come out from that village ever in her life. Those people who go for Hajj and Umrah sometimes from a village in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh or Somalia or whatever, and they've never left their street or alleyway or their village in their life. And then they go for Hajj and Umrah. They get a massive shock. It's like, what is this? It's a massive shock that they get. So, this is the same example, the child in the stomach of a person who lives in this world but cannot think about the reality of the next life. Where like this dunya is like the mother's womb. This world seems big. Being a doctor or a sheikh or whatever, any career is the pinnacle of any human being's success. Being a lawyer and a barrister and studying dentistry or whatever, being an astronomer, probably astronomers say, I've gone a bit far, I've actually gone out of the world. Okay? But this just seems like everything. And this is what Allah is saying in these verses of the Quran. That this life is nothing but deception. مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ لَهُمْ وَلَعِبْ وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهُمْ وَلَعِبْ. However, the other aspect is life just a game. And before I mention that, just this verse came into my mind. Allah describes in the Quran in one of the places about Jannah, paradise, that Jannah, paradise is so huge and so vast that it's Jannatun عرضها كعرض السماء والأرض عرضها السماوات والأرض. That heavens, the vastness of the smallest heaven, and there's some hadiths about this as well, about the vastness, it's as big as the worldly, the heavens, the seven heavens. It's massive. Sometimes when we read these hadiths and some texts of the Quran, that it's huge, it's massive, very difficult to comprehend. Exactly in the same way the child to think about the world when the child is in the stomach of the mother. So, this life is nothing but a game. However, when we say this life is serious, it's not a game, that is also correct. That is also correct. But this is why I'm trying to connect the two. This life is only important, when we connect it to the next life. This life is an introduction to the next life. It's like the waiting room, so to speak. Like a waiting room, an introduction before the real eternal life. So when the eternal, real next life is so important, when the actual thing is so important, the rehearsal or the introduction, you have mock exam, the mock test, is also somewhat important. But it's only important because of the importance of the next life. So this is life just a game? No, this life is not a game. We must take it seriously. But it's the only reason why we must take it seriously, it's not important in of itself. It's not important fi nafsihi, fi dhatihi, in of itself. It's not important because of the life being important, because of it. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's only important because of akhirah. It's only important because of the next life. Had it not been connected, had this life not been an introduction or a means to have a blissful next life, then this life would just be a game. Nothing. Just be absolutely futile. But because it's an introduction to the next life, so when the next life is important, the introduction also becomes important to that extent. And this tells us something very important. That yes, we always talk about the seriousness of this life. And this life is very serious, of course. Time is an asset that we must value. Every single minute and second that we possess is so significant, seriously. But this is the difference between a believer and someone who does not believe in the next life. Even those people who do not believe in the next life, don't believe in God, even they know and they realize that this life is important and time is very valuable and precious. Anyone who wants success in this life, look at any human being who has had some sort of success in this life, be it in politics or whatever, business, you will see that they have spent a life, unless nowadays people make money just like that, but that's not really success, yeah? Being a football player is not success. Earning £200,000 a week. Meaning, in the earlier times, sports was just something you did, just to refresh yourself. Yeah? the serious part of your life, serious work. When you're really like tired, then you go and what? Refresh yourself. That's why there's a hadith. The chain is not that strong, but it's probably a statement of one of the Sahaba or one of the early Muslims. رَوِّحُ الْقُلُوبَ سَاعَةً فَسَاعَةً. Every so often, relax yourself and go and play something. Then you come back to your real focus. When you're so deep into your focus, you need a bit of now relaxation. Go and have a game of football, right? Or go and play the most boring game on planet Earth, which is cricket. But anyway, no boring. Okay, I don't know how people play for 4 days and then still rain stop playing. And it's still like draw after 4 days. People still draw. But anyway, we'll agree to disagree there. But anyway, play a game or golf. I think golf is so boring. I don't know how people can play golf. It's just beyond. But that's what sports was considered as. Now, sports, probably someone's doing a degree on David Beckham here. That's how, do a degree, do a master's on David Beckham's toe. or he has some sort of, I don't know, tattoo or something, and he's like this. I mean, it's crazy. Before, success, even in the world, was measured with something important. You're giving something back to what? Humanity. You're providing services, medicine. This is why in Islam, actually medicine is given a very important status. Imam al-Shafi'i radiallahu anhu, one of the great imams of this ummah, he actually used to say, Al-ilmu ilman, ilmu al-fiqh lil-adyan wa ilmu al-tibb lil-abdan. Sciences worth studying are really only two. Religious sciences, sacred knowledge, Islamic knowledge, and medicine. Because one caters for your body and one caters for your akhirah. And likewise dentistry, similar, because it's to do with the well-being and the health, oral health of the human being, and maybe pharmacy or whatever, or lawyer, or law, or being a barrister, or whatever. These are important sciences. And success was only measured by those. And anyone who wanted success, even in monetary terms, you would only earn a good living if you actually did something like this. But now, you could be the most dumb person on planet Earth. You don't have a brain at all. You just have a foot to kick a ball. And you're earning much more than even doctors and lawyers and professors and barristers. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Especially in football, as you know, there's 200,000 pounds. I was talking to my father a few weeks ago, and I was just trying to tell him, I was saying, people earn 200,000 a week. He said, say that again? He thought like 200,000 over the whole life. 200,000 a week. Are these guys crazy? What happened to them? I mean, how can somebody even earn 200,000 pounds a week? It's just not even possible. I'm not discouraging anybody, or I'm saying they're all doing haram, etc. There are a lot of Muslim sports players. Actually, one footballer I recently met as well, a very good brother, mashallah, very good. But I don't want to talk about him too much, because he told me not to talk about him too much. He phoned me, I put something on the internet, and then he texted me. He's a very famous footballer. He plays in the Premiership. He's a Muslim, but mashallah, very practicing, very, very practicing. 5-time prayers, he prays regularly in the masjids. He donated a lot of amounts to some charity projects. Mashallah, very, very good brother. But he's very sincere. He's very sincere, and he really cares about the deen. And he actually asked me, he said, what would you advise? Would you advise young people to take a career in sports? And it was him asking me, what can I say? Because he's a football player. I said to him, I said, look, generally I would say no, because, people can be washed away in that whole environment. But yes, if somebody is solid, very strong in their deen, and they have connection with deen, with knowledge, and they take this life, seriously as an introduction to the next life, and they are very serious about the deen, then maybe so, not a problem. So anyway, this is what this life is about. It's an introduction, like I was saying. So I was saying that these games and sports, people earn money, and success is measured by these things nowadays, which were never considered to be success previously. But something important which we give back to humanity. I was saying something, but I've just forgotten. Did you remember what I was saying?
Talking about your football friend.
No, before that, before all the football sports. No, before that. Yeah.
Can you talk about how time is valuable?
Yeah. No, I'm just, I was talking about how time is valuable, and, but anyway, it's okay. I was explaining this part, that this life is only important. That those people who believe, even those people who do not believe in a God, who don't believe in the importance of the next life, even they are of the opinion that if anyone wants to be successful, wants to make something out of his or her life, or if someone wants success, then they must, like you said, value their time and the life that they have. And we look at any successful human being that's come on planet Earth. That's why I was saying that now success is through sports as well, but true success, someone who's done something good in their life, they've actually valued their life. Everyone. Okay? But the difference, this is the point that I wanted to bring across. The difference between a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, someone who believes in God, someone who believes in the next life, and difference between that person and difference between someone who does not believe in God, both know the importance of time, both realize that this life is precious, but the difference is what? The difference is major, massive difference. The difference is, this one who does not believe in the next life, life after death, does not believe in God, does not believe in akhirah, for that person, this life is important in of itself. Make the most out of this life. You're not going to live again. This is very important. Do something. Leave a legacy. When you die, you finish. That's it. End of story. So this life is important. Time is valuable. Life is an asset. Time is an asset for that person as well. But in of itself, for a believer, for you guys here, most of you, I'm sure, maybe some of our non-Muslim friends here, but the ones who believe, yes, it's very important to be a doctor, to be a barrister, to study medicine, to study this, to career, jobs. All of this is important. But only, because sometimes we forget this, sometimes we start saying, yes, life is important, it's not just a game, it's very serious, make the most out of your life, be very good students, do something for humanity. Of course, this is part of our deen, this is part of our teachings. But we sometimes forget and we start thinking this is in of itself important. And that's why if we consider this life to be important in of itself and our focus is only on this life, and the focus turns away and shifts from the next life, then we are in loss. That's why, brothers and sisters, take this life seriously, but always remember, this life is only serious because of the next life. Always remember that. Never forget that. This life is only important, it's not just a game, because of the next life. And if we don't have that in mind about the next life, then this life in of itself is not important. It is a game then. It's just futile, it's just a joke, and it's just fun, and it's just a game. And this is why the Messenger ﷺ, in the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, he said, كُن فِي الدُّنْيَا كَأَنَّكَ غَرِيبٌ أَوْ عَابِرُ السَّبِيلِ. Be and remain and stay in this dunya like a gharib, stranger, a traveler. Then he said, no, but Abiru Sabil, just a passerby. Stopped at the service station on M1. Did I start making a property there? No. Did I start, thinking to myself that I'm going to stay here forever? No, it's just passing by. This dunya is just pass by. Not even. Gharib means that you're going somewhere for like 2-3 months. Or you've come to Sheffield from Manchester. We used to raise these from. He just told me it's from Manchester. So gharib is you've just come to Sheffield just to study. You're going to be here for 2-3-4 years. The Messenger ﷺ said, stay in this world, not be in this world like a traveler, stranger. Then said, no, but rather a passerby. This is actually even in the Bible. Sayyiduna Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him, He says, this world is like a bridge. Cross over it, don't build over it. This world is like a bridge. Just cross over it and don't build on it. Some of the early Muslims gave examples of the dunya. One of them gave an example of the dunya being like the toilet and the washroom and the bathroom in one's house. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah gave this example. He said, the dunya is like a toilet. When you buy a house property, do you always think about the toilet? As soon as you go inside your house, how's the toilet doing? Is it okay? Straight inside the house, just quickly run to the toilet and check everything? No. But is toilet an important part of your house? Of course, it's an important part. It's important, it's needed, but it's like a need. Another, one of the early scholars, I think it was Rumi who gave an example. He said, it's like when a person is in the ship. A person is in the ship. And the water which is around the ship is very important. You can't live without the dunya. You can't live without having a career and a job and property and assets. You can't. The ship or the boat cannot move or function without water. But as long as the water is outside the ship, outside the boat, the moment the water starts coming inside, the boat drowns. The moment the water starts coming, the boat what? Drowns. The moment dunya starts coming into the heart, which means we start thinking it's important in of itself, this career and job is important in of itself, being a doctor is important in of itself, that's when our hearts drown. It becomes harmful. Worldly activities and wealth and goods and worldly aspects become harmful to us. In another hadith of al-Bukhari, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, يَتْبَعُ الْمَيِّتَ ثَلَاثَ أَهْلُهُ وَمَالُهُ وَعَمَلُهُ. Any dead person that dies, 3 people follow him to the graveyard. أَهْلُهُ وَمَالُهُ وَعَمَلُهُ. His family, his wealth, his family, so his sons, daughters, people will come for the funeral prayer. Wealth as well, they'll be driving your car, my car, I'm in the coffin, and my car is being driven, right, to the funeral, to the graveyard. And وَعَمَلُهُ, and his actions, his deeds. And then he says, فَيَرْجِعُ إِثْنَانِ وَيَبْقَى عَمَلُهُ. فَيَرْجِعُ إِثْنَانِ وَيَبْقَى وَاحِدٌ. One stays with him, 2 things return. His family, no matter how close your family were with us, they're not going to stay there. They might stay, some of them might be a bit really depressed and just stay there and cry. Yeah? Maybe until Maghrib, Isha, and they might hear a spooky voice. Ooh, and they just run. What about your loved parent that you just buried? That's it. I can't stay here. So the family returns, wealth returns. Only one thing comes with us in the grave. And he said, يَبْقَى مَعَهُ عَمَلُهُ. The good deeds. Good deeds doesn't only mean offering prayer. Good deeds doesn't just refer to fasting or charity. Yes, it means prayer, it means fasting, charity. But this is my point now, that our deen and Islam is such a beautiful way of life that Allah has given us, that even so-called worldly activities, so-called mundane, worldly, regular activities, such as sleeping, such as eating, such as drinking, such as conversing, such as talking, interacting, socializing, as long as we avoid sins, very important condition. As long as we avoid sins and we have the correct intention, studying, getting a career, job, all of this becomes righteous deeds. But the condition again is if we think this is an introduction to the next life. The focus is on the next life. Even studying at a university. This is why the first thing that everyone needs to do, if you haven't already done so, which is correcting of intention. Tasheehun niyyah. Every, more or less, many hadith books, they start with this particular hadith. The famous hadith, Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah wa radi anhu, starts his book with this, his collection with this hadith. Famous hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا أو إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هجر إليه. Actions are by the intentions. If you're studying, you have to change your intention. Why am I studying? Why are you studying? Why is a person studying? Why have you chosen to take a career in... What do you do?
I don't do anything.
You don't do anything. Everyone has something, brother. Okay, let me now ask you. What are you studying, brother?
Engineering.
Engineering. You need to ask ourselves a question. Why? Because remember, everything we do is not for its own sake. Right? It's not for its own sake. It's all about the next life. So, even a job or a career you go into, you have to correct your intention. This is for the sake of Allah. I am doing engineering, so X, Y, Z, I can do this, I can do this for humanity, I can serve people, I can do this, I can do that. I don't know what you do because I don't have a clue what you study, but whatever. If someone's a medic, I want to serve humanity, whatever field you're in, Allah will reward you for that. Remember, Allah will reward you for that. And this is why then even studying becomes important. Having a career in medicine or engineering or law becomes important. It becomes rewarding. Why has it become important? Because you've connected it to the next life. If you disconnect it from the next life, then it's not important. It's not important. This is a message I want every one of you to take with you today. I haven't ended, by the way, but this is a message I really want you to take with you. That whatever you're doing, studying, or anything, business, or every part of our lives, connected to the next life, connected to the akhirah. So then this life and whatever we do, activities of this life will also become an act of ibadah, an act of virtue, a righteous activity, an act of reward. Something that this is our deen. It's so simple that actions are according to the intentions. Even worldly activities, but two conditions: intention is changed in the mind, and number two, it's done in the right way, correct way, avoiding sins. Time is flying, as you know, brothers and sisters. It's just so fast. This life, actually, one of the signs of the day of Qiyamah. There's a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam he said he gave certain signs of the final hour, and one of them he said, يَتَقَارَبُ الزَّمَانِ. Time will fly. We always talk about it, I'm sure everybody knows. It was 2007, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like February, before you know it, June, July, 14, 18, 19, 2033. Seriously, it's going to, I just can't, sit and I think about this. Remember where the last decade went. The millennium was just like around the corner, 3-4 years ago. I was just remembering the world was going to end after the millennium, and then 2004 definitely was going to end. And then just recently, when was it? 2012. Yeah, I was in another country. I remember the brothers were telling me there that actually some people, they made all these bunkers. Where was I? I'm forgetting where I was. I think it was in Canada. They were saying that lots of people, they made all these bunkers underground because they really thought the world was going to die. And they waited inside under the bunkers. The world's going to die, but what, your bunker's going to stay? With crazy logic. And then they were disappointed. And some of them spent like thousands, millions of pounds preparing for the past 4 or 5 years for the final hour. Like they made some super solid proof, soundproof and what proof, I don't know, bunkers underground. And then the world didn't end, and then they popped out from, like the bunkers, and the world is still moving around. But this is what happened. Time is so quick and so fast. That's why life is not just a game. In itself it is, but because of the akhirah, it's not just a game. نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, this is a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, there are 2 bounties, 2 gifts that every one of us, every human being receives. But most people are in deception regarding them. مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. Number 1 is as-sihha, health and well-being. When we are healthy and when we have well-being, we don't appreciate it. People are in deception. We think we're going to be like this all the time because I'm running fast right now. Yeah, 100 meters, I can do it like very quickly. We're at that stage right now. We walk and run like someone running for the Olympics or something. So, but it's not always going to be like that. We will slow down, I'm sure. No? Anyone slowed down yet? No? I think that I'm slowing down. But we will slow down. And this health will no longer be like how we have health right now. And that's why the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, most people are in deception. They feel this health, they'll stay healthy like this all the time, all their life. And number one, faragh, when you have time. Make the most out of health, well-being, and also the time that Allah has given us. Shaitan and Iblis, he deceives us. And he makes us think. And this is why Shaitan, one of the names of Iblis and Satan in the Quran, given is the one who deceives. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. Don't let the deceiver deceive you. And Shaitan deceives us by giving us messages. This world is long, don't worry, you've got a long time. Death? You're not going to come now. That happens in, death is like, don't you know how? It's not possible. And that's how, subhanAllah, all of us, we think like that. When someone dies, subconsciously, I don't know about you guys, alhamdulillah, you're in a very high level of spirituality where you think about death much more, but I'm talking about myself. Even when someone dies, subconsciously think, that's him he died, or she's passed away, death can't come to me, can come to her. Do you understand? Just think to yourself for a moment. How much does every one of us, we believe, in the next 2 minutes, we could die? Out of 100%. Really. In the next 2 minutes, it's possible I could just go flat. I could be giving a talk, there was a YouTube clip of a sheikh once delivering a khutbah and... Don't worry, I'm not dead yet. Let's just ask ourselves the question. In 2 minutes, I could die. Some of us maybe 1%, deep down. Some of us could be 5%, 10%, 15%. Some of us like 0%. Not really. I know it's a distinct possibility. It's like one of those impossible kind of things which can happen, like, suddenly, one of the miracles can happen, but it's not possible. So, this is why it's very important. You give me a note or? Yeah, no problem, inshallah. No, I thought you were giving me 5 minutes or something. Okay, just 5 minutes and let me just wrap up, inshallah. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is what he's telling us about importance of this next life. There's another hadith which I just want to end with. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Appreciate 5 things before 5 things. شبابك قبل هرمك. Your youth before your old age. صحتك قبل مرضك. Your health before your صحتك قبل sickness. وغناك قبل فقرك. You've got wealth right now, don't just squander it before you get poor. وفراغك قبل شغلك. And your time before you become busy. And then as a summary he said وحياتك قبل موتك. Appreciate and take value of this life before death comes. And if we look at the early Muslim scholars, I didn't want to talk about this topic. The second part I didn't talk about it too much because actually a couple of months ago I did a talk, the second part in one of the universities in London about time and the precious asset that we have, and I went through lots of examples of early Muslims, how they value time and every second, and that's actually on YouTube as well. So I just didn't want to do a different talk for my own benefit. So that's why I didn't focus on that second part too much. But everybody knows we need to be serious in this life. Don't waste time, the precious time that Allah has given us, the health that Allah has given me and you. Don't waste it, don't squander it, don't waste it. The money, parents are spending money on us, studying. It's every second is more valuable than gold and silver, like some of the scholars say. أَغْلَى مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ. They would spend 1 minute out of their time as though they are taking out a pound from their pocket. Yeah, to give somebody a pound, not everybody's just going to leave a pound lying around and just throw it or whatever. Even taking a minute out of your precious time and giving it to someone, it's like you're giving a chunk of your wealth. You're giving something. Somebody wants 27 minutes and 30 seconds of your time. You think, 27 minutes. Or is this job or this task or this activity really worth giving my 27 minutes and 30 seconds? Yes? Then give your time. If not, then it's not you shouldn't be giving your time for that activity. Anything which is low, the Quran says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Successful believers are the ones who concentrate in their prayers. And then he said, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Those who turn away from futile activities. Laghu is a sinful activity. And what is the definition of that? Laghu is everything and anything that has no worldly benefit, no next worldly benefit. And worldly benefit as well is because of introduction to the next life. So no benefit. Just sometimes people just spend like 4 hours studying at university, but just Saturday night. 4 hours, just precious 4 hours. 5 hours, late night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Just sitting around and just shishaing, and that's it. And that's I made the word of shishaing. Just sitting there and just wasting time. Human beings don't do that. Serious human beings don't do that. And the Muslims don't do that. And students definitely don't do that. So anyway, I'm going to end with this inshallah. May Allah grant us the tawfiq and give us the understanding and make us realize the importance of this life because of the importance of the next life. May Allah enable us to, deal with this life appropriately and be serious in this life so that our next life is, full of blessings and peaceful, inshallah. I'm going to end with this. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so we're going to do a question and answer session if that's okay with you. Yeah, if you can stay here. So we can you can write it down and pass it to the end of the row, and then someone can come and give it to the front, or you can just raise your hands. Okay, so
Isn't that pure from intentions? And sometimes we start an action and we do it purely for the things of Allah, but then somewhere down the line we kind of reach a stagnancy and we forget why we're doing it, and we want to know our intentions. So how would you advise that?
Do you have any written questions? No written questions? SubhanAllah. I'll answer your questions. Nobody has any written questions, no? Maybe you're going to ask too many. Last week we had a program somewhere and we had about 65 or 70 questions after the program. So those people didn't really know much. MashaAllah, here people are very, very knowledgeable. Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, people have asked this before as well. I remember, I think the same talk that I talked about intention somewhere. Somebody asked this question. We all know that it's very important, intention is very important. But, like with everything in terms of our deen, you can't be 100% all the time. It's impossible. Even the companions, the famous incident when one of the companions came out of his house and he said, Handala radiallahu anhu, he said, Nafaqa Handala. He met Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. He said, I've become a hypocrite. He said, why? He said, the way I feel when I'm with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the masjid, in the gathering, and when I come home, I don't feel the same level of spirituality. It's like, I'm a hypocrite. Abu Bakr said, man, I actually, I don't feel the same as well. I think I'm a hypocrite as well then. So they both went to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam consoled them and said, look, these are stages of human beings. You're not going to be at the same stage or level all the time. So likewise, exactly, as long as you are concerned in the heart. There are some people who just don't care about the intention. The intention is totally and wholly incorrect, right? That's where it's scary and it's problematic, and we need to be, wary of. But if somebody, he constantly evaluates the intention, and they think about the intention, they want to please Allah. One day they might be like 100% fully sincere. The next day it goes back to 90, not a problem, nothing to worry about. That's like in salah as well. Sometimes you have full khushu, khudu, when you're reading Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, and then Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, you start thinking about, engineering, and then Ihdina Salat al-Mustaqim, you're thinking about the kebabs you had yesterday, and then Ghayr al-Maghdub, I'm offering Salah, Ghayr al-Maghdub, don't say Astaghfirullah, but anyway, Ghayr al-Maghdub, you come back to focus, not a problem, as long as you're not doing it intentionally. So inshallah, Imam al-Dhahabi, actually one of the great muhaddith and imams of the Sunnah, he's actually written about this in one of his books. He was talking about sacred knowledge, but he said that if some people have a mixture of intentions, he said, look, تَصْحِيحُ النِّيَّةِ مِنْ طَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ وَاجِبٌ. That's in his book, Al-Muqidha. He said it's necessary for every student to have correct intention. And then he goes on to explain, he says that إِذَا كَانَتِ النِّيَّةُ مَمْزُوجَةً, if the intention is a mixture of the sincere correct intention and the insincere incorrect intention. فَالْعِبْرَةُ لِلْغَالِبِ. Those are his words. He said, consideration will be taken of the predominant intention. So if you're 55 sincere and 45 insincere, then and you pass away on that stage, or consideration will be taken of the majority. And then he goes on to say that actually it is rare that a person who constantly keeps on evaluating that 65% will not increase, 55% will not increase. Eventually you will get to a level 80, 90, at least 90% where you will become sort of very, very sincere. Because in the beginning you start off with insincere. That's why they say children, you can be insincere. We have children, make them offer salah, show off, not a problem. Yeah, you have a 7-year-old child, 10-year-old child. It's all about showing off, not a problem. Yeah, I just took, when I was a young kid, I used to do lectures when I was about 10, 12. My father used to make me do talks. Like we have these masjid, madrasa gatherings, kids, what I'm saying? Kids gatherings. So I used to be about 12, 13. I used to like doing that. I used to do a lot of nasheed as well. Actually, when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of nasheed. But it was all show off. I'm still show off. But that time there was more of a show off. Nothing, you're not even thinking about intention. It's like, everybody's going to say, wow, mashallah. Say, oh, you did a really good qira'ah of the Qur'an. You recited some good Qur'an. You got a beautiful voice. We're more concerned about reading like Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Sudais or someone rather than tajweed. Who cares? We want to just copy. I used to copy every single imam that is there on planet when I was about 10, 12 years old. I actually still have a recording where I used to do the Surah Al-Fatiha and every ayah I used to change with another imam. I used to do that when I was a kid. Kids do that, not grown-ups. But anyway.
It's on YouTube.
It's not on YouTube. There was no YouTube that time. So, when I was like, this was when I was about 10. But it was all showing off. And that's why our teachers, parents, sheikhs, and people tell us, when you're young, it starts off with showing off. You have to start off at a stage where you're just showing off. Don't worry. Don't stop. Say, I'm not going to study because my intention is so bad. That's shaitan again coming. You want to start memorizing the Qur'an? Oh, people will think you're a big qari, you're a hafiz of the Qur'an, that's not me. No. Don't stop. That's shaitan. And finally, on this point, one of my teachers once said, don't do anything for other than Allah and don't leave anything for other than Allah. Don't do anything for other than Allah and don't leave. If you're doing something good, don't say, oh, people will call me big sheikh or big pious, big this, that. Don't leave anything for other than Allah. Do it for Allah. If you don't want to do it because of some other reason, then don't do it. But don't never leave a good deed for other than Allah as well, inshallah.
Thank you. Next question. Yes.
That was a great talk, thank you. Just a quick question on time. Life is generally quite busy for most people. That's what we say anyway. But how do we allocate slots when you've got namaz, you've got the Quran? You get your 5 times salah. That's a fixed slot here and there. How can you? What sort of advice can you give for fixed slots for other things besides from work and children, parents, family, friends?
Advice on how to
Fixed slots, just to do some extra pieces, like routines.
Okay. First thing to keep in mind is that even things that you're doing besides those extra things can also be acts of ibadah. Spending time with the family is probably one of the greatest acts of ibadah that you can do. So we shouldn't distinguish as a believer between those acts of ibadah and the other ones. It's wrong to think dhikr is an act of ibadah, but sitting with my husband and wife, not my husband and wife, you won't have husband and wife together, husband or wife, or children, or parents, or siblings, that's somehow dunya stuff. No. You make your intention correct. You say, I want to fulfill the rights of those people whom Allah has enjoined upon me to fulfill their rights. And that becomes an act of ibadah. This is why sometimes, this is a side point, sometimes some people when they get engrossed in deen, they feel that unless you don't sacrifice, and this is a grave mistake some people make, they get involved in some sort of, really deep religious type of, activity, and then they start feeling that even spending time with my wife or my husband or my children is like worldly thing. No, I don't have time for all this dunya stuff. Since when did this become dunya? I mean, that's a really wrong understanding. So this is why you need to understand that, look, that's the first point. That consider even the other things to be act of ibadah. And then number two, other things like you want to do, dhikr. Dhikr is what? Dhikr means remembrance of Allah. Everything is dhikr. What we're doing right now is also dhikr. Dhikr is anything that reminds you of Allah. Salah is dhikr. Okay? There are specific forms of dhikr, different types of dhikr, saying Allah, 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 Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, Astaghfirullah. All of this is dhikr. Sadaqah, you say, okay, I want to do some sadaqah. You know what the hadith says? Hadith says even having sexual relations with your husband or wife is an act of sadaqah. Imagine. وَفِي بُضْعِ سبحان الله وَفِي بُضْعِ أَحَدِكُمْ صَدَقَةً. That's good, he said subhanallah. وَفِي بُضْعِ أَحَدِكُمْ صَدَقَةً. Sahih al-Bukhari. One of you fulfilling your sexual needs is an act of sadaqah. In another hadith says, shall I not inform you, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِأَفْضَلَ مِنْ دَرَجَةِ الصَّائِمِ الْقَائِمِ. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, shall I not inform you of something more rewarding than what? Praying at night all night long and fasting all day long? The companion said, Bala ya Rasulullah, yes, O Messenger of Allah. He said, Islahu dhatil bayn. Reconciling between two people who are enemies of one another. You find two brothers who don't talk to one another. They'll be enemies. You go and reconcile between them two, and you bring the enmity to an end. More rewarding than nafil prayer all night long, tahajjud and qiyamul layl, and fasting voluntary fasts for days on end. So there's different ways. We have so many different ways. So in terms of, keep that in mind. But then yes, of course, everyone should have a timetable. Successful life is based on timetable. This is the time. Make it less, make it something that's manageable, achievable. Don't overwhelm yourself, because the first step of falling down is to overwhelm yourself. People say, okay, I'm going to read 10 ajza and parts of the Qur'an, and then what happens? By the end of it, they don't read nothing. Small, khayrul amali ila Allahi adwamuha wa in qalla, hadith. The best of actions, less but continuous. So make a timetable, do what you can do. Feel good about yourself. Don't feel bad that look, I'm spending time with the family, or I'm doing some work activities. This is, make it, just change your intention. Allah will reward you for studying, for everything.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mufti Sam, this is not directly related to the subject, but when did you receive your Mufti status from? Just briefly.
I don't give myself that status, so the one who gave it to me, you could ask him.
Can we keep the next question relevant to the talk, please? Any other questions? Anything written down past the end?
You can write it and send it as well. If somebody doesn't want to speak up, embarrassed to speak, then just write it, inshallah.
Go ahead.
Like you said, certain activities that people partake in life a few times. If someone has such a bad habit where he's spending time doing something he knows he shouldn't be doing, what advice could you give for him to stop doing that activity? Encourage him. He finds it difficult.
There's only one thing I can say. You see, these kind of questions, it's a good question, and these questions are asked a lot, and I always say, there is no magic potion, there is no miracle, so there is no magic dua, and there is no magic formula. Right? Lots of people, even on the phone call, just today I had a sister, a lady, older lady, called me from up north somewhere here, just today in the afternoon, and she was talking about her son's married and wants to divorce his wife because he doesn't like her and he's got another girlfriend. And anyway, it's a big case, and I spoke to them like last week, both the mother and son. But anyway, she said, I have no peace in my life. She's speaking to me in Urdu, and half Punjabi, half Urdu. I don't speak Punjabi, I understand it. I can speak half of it. So anyway, she kept on saying, but I have no peace in my life, and this and that, etc., etc. Can you tell me something to read, and just going to give me peace? This is such a common question. Can you give me something to read? I have nothing to give you to read. I always tell you, I have nothing. There's no such a thing that I just give you, read it. We talked about this, I think one of my talks last year or something was about ruqya and ta'weed and amulets and dua. Dua to Allah in your own words. After your 5-time prayers, you can talk to Allah in Chinese or in Somalian or in Arabic, whatever. From the heart, yes, Allah, you make dua to Allah and Allah will accept it. So to answer this and these type of questions, what advice can you give to someone, like somebody asked me recently, somebody's sin, not you're saying useful, useless activity. Somebody says somebody involved in sin, what advice could you give to come out from that sin? There is no magic potion or formula or anything like that. The only thing that we have is willpower. That's it. Himma. Willpower. You want to do it? Where there is a will, there is a way. Where there's no will, there is no way. That's it. There's nothing else. You just have to have the willpower. I want to do it, I want to do it. You want to, lots of things we can do because we take it important. You know, like in the morning, if you have to, if someone says in the morning, 5:30 a.m., you better wake up and, you know, there is £100,000 on offer. If you wake up 5:30 and you go somewhere 6 o'clock, you will get £100,000. You don't even need an alarm clock. We don't even need an alarm clock. No alarm clocks. Automatically, we won't even speak. We'll wake at 4 o'clock, 4:01, okay, 4:30, 4:20, 4:45. Fajr, we have 3 alarm clocks and we can't wake up. So it's in our mind. We just need to change our minds.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, I've got one on my own. Question over here.
What can we do to help us zoom out and put things into perspective? Elaborate on your question.
Okay, so you mentioned that as you go through the stages of life, you have different things that are really important. But how can, because as we're traveling through life, how can we keep remembering the overall goal? Is there anything we can do?
The overall goal that I talked about in the talk? Like I said, that it's not something that we should just constantly be sad and gloomy about. That's another extreme. It's not something we should be sad and gloomy about. Every single hour, second, we think about death and that's it, and we're going to die any moment. Otherwise, we can't live in this world. We can't live, we can't do anything if we think like that. So with a bit of balance, this is what we need to do. Now, every so often, frequently, every so often, we reflect about the temporary nature of life. Read about death. There are books written on death, many books. Read about them. Read the Quranic verses, the hadiths that talk about death and the real life and the eternal life and the next life. And I think just keep constant reminders every so often, inshallah, because this is what the Quran says. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind, because reminder always helps. This was just a reminder. How many of you may have known 80, 90 or even 100% of what I said? Right? But it's just a reminder. You don't always come to talks or lectures just to learn something new. Yes, a lot of the times we do. But many of the times it's a reminder because it helps. The Quran says it benefits the believers. So constant reminders like that to keep on thinking about the bigger picture, the greater picture, which is the akhirah. But at the same time, give importance to the current situation or condition that you are in, inshallah.
Okay, last chance. Any other questions?
Nobody?
Okay.
One more? I'm sure somebody has. Somebody can ask one non-related one. Come on, I'll do some sadaqah. One non-related one if you want. But non-controversial at the same time.
You can't give us the name of that brother who plays with that friendship. What's the team that he plays?
Thanks for asking. I think some people know because I put it on social, I think somewhere on the internet.
What does this say?